the vibes feel against Vancouver.
And arrived.
Put the puck in deep and be our own.
We have got to the point where literally anybody will be fully working out without knowing how to code. This is Base 44. This is the first look at the current industry-leading AI.
Here's the bite. Essler.
Game 7 up. Second American-born player ever to a champion in Canada since Montreal. See the home Luongo. Tradition that came from 1982. That year they were swept by the Islanders. They lost to the Rangers in 1994 in 7 games. That was then. This is tonight. Then. This is tonight. To the ice. Pierre McGuire with Ryan Kessler. Thanks very much, Doc. For Game 7, how much offense?
Like they've got it. Team in Vancouver they're playing against, they want to be physical. How do you counterattack against their physical play? We're not going to worry about that. We're going to play our game. We're going to get these fans into it. And like I said, we're going to enjoy this. Get out there and have some fun, my friend. Thank you.
It's been said the sweetest sound to any man is the sound of his own name. In hockey, it's having that name etched on the Stanley Cup. None of the Canucks, only 2 of the Bruins. The night begins with patriotic anthems. Here's PA announcer John of the Bruins. The night begins with patriotic anthems. Here's none of PA announcer John Ashbridge. Anthems. Here's PA announcer John Ashbridge.
The grand finale of Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final from Vancouver. Canadians number 1200 for the first time. The second last one in the NHL. From Vancouver, game number 1229. The second last one in the NHL schedule. I'll tell you what, somebody around here is living right. After blowing a game Thursday in Calgary, St. Louis lost last night. The Rangers lost today. The Canucks need a point to finish first overall. It's like they got a presidential pardon. And they're up against the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers are trying to figure out if Devin Dubnyk is indeed their number 1 going forward. To that end, this is his 12th start in the last 13 games. and 32nd game since New Year's Day, and he turned those starts with 15 wins in 2012. Roberto Luongo is finishing up his 7th straight 30-plus win season. 33-year-old with 4-3-1 for the month of March, and was pulled in his last game here at Rockford City. Referees tonight, Edmonton, and Mike Mulligan. Wednesday night. The Vancouver Canucks will have a different look all around tonight. I'm not sure whether they're experimenting or just trying to get everybody's attention for the last week of the season. But other than this third line that starts the game, they'll have some different line combinations that probably, well, maybe they'll be together for the playoffs, but maybe not. They'll start with a third line they really like. Sammy Paulson at center, Chris Higgins on the left wing, and Yannick Hansen on the right side. Up against Jordan Eberle with Ryan Nugent, Hopkins, and Teemu Hartikainen for the Edmonton Oilers. And there's Hopkins back in his own zone to Eberle, and Ryan Whitney coming out of his own zone with Nick Schultz gets the puck to center. Hartikainen will dump it in. Defensive pairs are different for Vancouver, too. There's Chris Tanev playing with Dan Hamhuis. Hamhuis usually plays with Kevin Bieksa. You'd expect them to be together as a shutdown pair in the playoffs. But the pairs are all switched tonight. Jeff Petrie jumps in off the blue line and tried to snap a shot that went wide of the net. Tanev, dependable young defenseman, has earned a regular spot in the Vancouver roster. He moved the puck to center as the Canucks change on the fly and send out their captain Henrik Sedin. Alex Burrows is with him. So is Andrew Evan on the top line, or what should be the top line for Vancouver. Evan with Burrows headed to the net, maybe 2-on-1. There's the pass, a rebound. Henrik Sedin could get Henrik Sedin from the Stanley Cup final. On the fence in for Henrik Sedin to Andrew Evan. Hard centering pass, Bieksa off the blue line. Couldn't handle it and get his shot away. Hot back there against Jeff Petrie, and a fans like that as Bieksa got the hit, got the puck, got the shot. And it's stopped by Kevin Dubnik. Number 25, Andrew Evan off the boards. Here's Burrows in front. He took that pass from Henrik Sedin just wide of the net. And Gagne out to center. He and Hemsky and Ryan Jones finish up the shift and change.
Henrik Sedin hasn't been scoring goals lately. He hasn't scored in 22, but he's been back to his old ways of setting them up. Just a great cross-team pass to Burrows, and Burrows couldn't get all of it.
10 assists in 8 games since his brother got hurt. Really picked up his play as the Daniel got knocked out of the lineup. There's a shot by Colton Tubert, knocked down before it got to the front of the Vancouver net. Sammy Sattler gets the puck to center. Here's Ryan Kessler breaking to the net. Is David Booth tipped? What a save by Devin Dubnik! A one-handed tip by Booth, streaking to the net at 100 miles an hour, and Dubnik made a great save.
And Jen, you mentioned this is Devin Dubnik. He's been on an audition really for the last 3 months for the Edmonton Oilers, and he's been doing well. The game physically set the tone down low. A nice aggressive play by Bieksa down low, and then a couple of cross-seam plays. One good save by Dubnik, a solid effort here. Cross-seam to Burrows that he can't quite get a hold of, and then the speed of the neutral zone created that last chance, and Dubnik very sharp with the glove.
Canucks won the face-off. Tanner's shot was blocked. Booth with a shot, and Dubnik stopped it. Didn't know it fell beside him until the last second, and he moved it away. Maxime Lapierre getting a chance to play on this line with Ryan Kessler and David Booth tonight. Lapierre was playing on the top line with Henrik Sedin. Drops a notch. Better to go to the fourth line, I guess, where he may spend a lot of his time in the playoffs. A forecheck here. Chris Vandevelde into the Edmonton Oilers. Ryan Smith down on the ice, and Darcy Hordichuk is out here as well. Hamhuis to Tanev and back. And Hamhuis will start out for Vancouver to center. Straight up the middle. Here's Ryan Kessler to the net. Stopped by Dubnik, and he's drawn a penalty. And that's the Ryan Kessler the fans love to see here. That great speed. He just didn't quite finish.
No, and he drew a penalty, though, as he took inside position, and he forced Sutton to get the hack in on him. You see Hordichuk trying to get something going as he was on the ice with Eager. But it's this neutral zone speed. The D spread a little bit too wide. Colton Tubert got caught watching for a second, and those quick strides. Look at, gets the puck, keeps his feet moving, and then this move, the inside position, Sutton was forced to make the slash, and a power play that's really struggled for the Vancouver Canucks. Just 2 for their last 36. Unbelievable with a power play that typically has been so effective, Jim.
It was the best in the league all through last season. Salo on the point to the front of the net. Here's Alex Burrows, and the puck got away from him. Burrows, Ryan Kessler, and Henrik Sedin on the power play. Alexander Edler and Sammy Salo in this final tune-up game. Oilers penalty kill much better than it was last year in the middle of the pack. Eric Belanger out on the ice. Jeff Petrie on defense. Nick Schultz is back there. The Vancouver is in getting set up. Handler to Sammy Sal. In for Ryan Kessler. Bumped hard, but he saw it coming. Petrie came at him, then threw the puck away, and Edler couldn't stop it at the blue line. The Oilers get a chance to change their penalty kills.
That's a big play for a player like Petrie. He's playing significant minutes for Edmonton, too. He made a nice aggressive play, took the body on Kessler, and got a little bit of a break with that one getting out.
Smith and Horkoff, veterans, come on the penalty kill here and get the puck to the blue line, not out. Andrew Ebbett held it in. He's got Henrik Sedin with him, and Alex Burrows stays. Edler holds the puck in. Ebbett. Henrik Sedin behind the net wanted it. Cam Barker stays with the man. Henrik Sedin gets the puck. Little backhanded dish in front. Burrows stopped by Dubnyk. Another chance stopped by Dubnyk. And Sean Horkoff gets a hold of the puck, and he gets some help from Ryan Smith to clear it. Early on, 6-0. Shots on goal in favor of Vancouver. Devin Dubnyk, who is 7-1 in his last 8 road games, is up for this one.
Lots of crazy bounces around his net, too, as he tried to find the puck in his feet twice. But fortunate enough to get a break. He's been shot out.
Stop the breakaway. A couple of point-blank shots there. Here's Dan Hamhuis. He's got Kevin Bieksa with him on the point of the power play now. Bieksa waited the pass. Plays it back to Hamhuis, not in his shooting position. His cross-ice pass, quick shot, another save by Dubnyk on Booth. Booth, Higgins, and Ebbett up front right now. Bieksa, Hamhuis to the front of the net. After the puck is Higgins. Andrew Ebbett, penalty's over. Sutton is back on. Hamhuis with a drive, and Dubnyk made a save, and another one. He's in a shooting gallery. And the Vancouver Canucks can't get the puck by the big goaltender from Calgary, Devin Dubnyk.
That's the big scene. He has got size. But I think one thing he's really learned this year is patience. And he's really just waiting for the puck to come to him, not overreacting, showing a lot of poise that he didn't have a year ago.
It wasn't a bad-looking power play.
Yeah.
But it didn't score, and now the shots are 10-0. 10-0 Vancouver. And we're not quite 6 minutes into the game as the puck leaves the playing surface.
You think about confidence, and right now, in front of the net, one chance, second one, he thought the puck maybe went a little further out, but then he does a nice job aggressively with the poke check. Here's what I mean about calmness. Look, he's not overreacting, he's just tracking the puck exceptionally well. And already that 10-shot differential has been the difference in this game.
Off the face-off, the Oilers' Colton Tubert cleared the puck to center. Everly, Hartikainen, Nugent Hopkins back out on the ice for Edmonton. Dubnyk's out to play the puck. Might as well do that, too. He's done everything else early on. Andy Sutton, this is the puck behind the net, and he'll come around for Jordan Everly. Back against the play, and he plays the puck to Sutton, who gets a chance to break out. Flips it to center. Manny Malhotra knocked it down with a kick. As the Canucks make a change here. Nugent Hopkins to Jordan Everly off the wing. Aaron Rowe closes on him, so he's forced to turn back. The backhand pass went off the stick. Sammy Saddle up the boards. Yannick Hansen gave the puck away into the middle. Ryan Jones backhander just missed. Everly to Whitney, just out of his reach. And back to the puck is Nick Schultz. He and Whitney now paired together. Looks like a pretty good pair. They seem to complement each other. Alex Henson, the off the wing with a shot. There's a rebound. Jones again. This time he couldn't control it. It's a track meet all of a sudden. And back the other way comes Yannick Hansen. Stops up. Bieksa shoots. And Schultz got his stick in there to deflect the puck high in the air. And it disappeared from sight. Lonnie Cameron blew the play down. This game awaits its first goal, but not for lack of Vancouver shots. They've had 10 of them.
That almost no word in the first.
For lack of Vancouver shot.
Will almost certainly be the Canucks starting goaltender when the playoffs open here on Monday, or I should say Wednesday or Thursday. So you can imagine his frustration with Gus up to outrage when he took a shot from Chris Tanev up the side of the neck this morning. And don't forget, he couldn't start a game last week because of his stiff neck, but after taking his frustration out by smashing his stick at the bench, went back in, picked up where he left off, and you could see that afterwards he was sporting a welt on his neck, but declared himself good to go, Jim.
So far, that's the hardest shot he's faced today.
Good chance that last shift for the Oilers, just a little bit wide by Jones. And you know that Roberto would like to have a game, Jim, where he gets seeing the puck a little bit and gets a little confidence. His last outing didn't work out so well here.
There's Ryan Jones with an on-net pass to Sam Gagner. Petrie comes up on the play. Hemsky falls in behind, takes the shot along with the save. He bobbled it, and the puck's knocked into the corner. There's a hand pass, but it's in the defensive zone. So Max Lapierre gets unchecked. He's got Edler up with him, takes the shot. There's no rebound there for Edson. A hand pass, but it's in the defensive zone. So Max Lapierre gets unchecked. He's got Edler up with him, takes the shot. There's no rebound there. He scores!
This is into the final, and Game 7 for the captain.
Alex Edler has Devin Keegan holds on again.
You have no players under the microscope more than number 1 for the Vancouver Canucks. His last game, 4 goals on 15 shots here. It's a simple looking shot, but he can't find the rebound. It goes off his arm, he bats on it for a second, and gets a little bit of help. But you know the kind of streak. I mean, it is just unbelievable here. The pressure that's going to be on the rebound. It goes off his arm, he bats on it for a second, and then gets a little bit of help. But you know the kind of streak. I mean, it is just unbelievable here. The pressure that's going to be on the little Longo come playoff time. He's got 30 wins, but his backups got 20. That's just the difference. I'll tell you, if I'm going to know, we're going to have him on after hours after. That's a tough one. They're always getting second-guessed by your fan base. You have an option that's out there that's been a pretty darn good one. As Corey Schneider's played some great hockey the last half of the season. That's the difference. He's never put him in some of those tougher games. It's not like a backup getting an easy night. He's the performing tough camps and helps some good guys.
Here's Sean Holmes out of the corner to Ryan Smith, and it's almost in front. And Smith, who hasn't scored in 13 games, couldn't finish that one right over the doorstep. Andrew the center on the right side. Burrows couldn't take the pass, but he wants to get to the bench anyway. Andy Sutton is back to collect it. Nugent Hopkins, Ebony, there's a turnover, and back to the puck. The help out is Ryan Nugent Hopkins. To Ebony and center. By the way, to Nugent Hopkins, who is tied with Gabriel Landeskog for the lead in rookie scoring. Landeskog has nothing so far tonight for Colorado.
I was going to say, for Edmonton, there's a lot at stake for that young man. What a great season he's had. And I really think the only question, Jim, is the 20 games he's missed. Other than that, I don't know how he's going to consider him.
Should be considered that he's played 20 less games,
but he's leading and scoring with it. I mean, shouldn't that be an advantage as opposed to a disadvantage?
Yeah, except you could say that Landeskog has had a more complete season.
Well, I don't know. That's going to be
a pretty good one. I mean, they're both excellent players, both of them.
But he throw in Adam Henrique, too. You got to throw. There's been some good young players around the league, did you know?
Dan Barton and Jeff Petrie. Plays cut off in the boards momentarily by Higgins, who had his stick knocked away, and he pleads to the referee for a penalty, and he won't get one from the guy who was close to him, but there's another one being called at the other end, and it's against Vancouver.
Sammy Paulson went after Ben Eager. He lost the puck, lost the battle, and as Eager went to jump off ice, anytime you got your legs standing still and you lose the puck, watch the turnover right here. Higgins gets lost there. He doesn't get the call with the slash. As Eager steps on the stick of Paulson, so the Oilers' power play gets an early opportunity here.
Power play's third best in the league. Their special teams defensive play have all improved this season, even though their record hasn't improved appreciably. They do have more wins, 32 as opposed to 25 last year. Petrie's on the right point. Ryan Nugent Hopkins. Alex Hemsky. Horkoff parked in front of the net. Eberle's playing the left point, now headed to the front of the net. There's the pass. It's into the feet of Nugent Hopkins. Nugent Hopkins here with the shot. Excuse me, that pass was into the feet of Alex Hemsky. Here's Eberle off the wing. Great shooter, but no shot here. Bieksa watches him, and Hamhuis goes right at him. Petrie. Eberle, and back. Here's Nugent Hopkins as they go around the outside. Petry's shot deflected off the stick and wide of the net. And the Canucks get a hold of the puck, and Dan Hamhuis sends it down the ice.
You get a real sense there, Nugent Hopkins, of just how important he is to that power play. The puck always seems to find him, and the plays are initiated from that right side. And he does have that special gift of just knowing when the seam opens up, when to deliver the puck. And if you're playing out there with him and you're on your off wing, you just always have to be ready to shoot.
Ryan Smith out of the second power play unit now. Sam Gagner with him, and Ryan Jones, and they're into the attacking zone. The pass comes back to Whitney. He was looking for Ryan Smith, and a nice stick there by Sammy Salo. Whitney. Smith forced to the outside. Ryan Jones takes over. Barker's in the slot. Ryan Smith's side of the net. Good aggressive penalty kill. Forces Smith to play to Gagner. Cam Barker at the left point. Watched by Alex Burrows. Passes off. Gagner with a pass. Salo tipped that. Now he's got a chance to clear the puck, and he'll get some help from Burrows. Good teamwork by Vancouver. The puck is scooped onto the Vancouver bench, but there's a penalty coming up here to Alex Burrows.
Now he's going to argue it, but it was right on the play, and there's no question the high stick came up. A couple of great defensive plays by Sammy Salo to make that possible. And yeah, there's the argument for Burrows. He's saying it's a follow-through. And the follow-through of the shot, Jones puts his head back in a short 5-on-3, just 14 seconds.
Got a chance here for Edmonton with the power plays to get into the game. An outshot 12-2. Devin Dubnyk has kept them in a scoreless game. And now a chance to forge ahead.
The power play has stalled, though, the last 8 games. Just 2 power play goals from really a unit that's been one of the best top 3 basically all year.
They get the draw. Winger win. Petry moves into the middle. On the other side, Everly. Centering pass from Hemsky. Didn't get through to Nugent Hopkins. Now the rookie has the puck. Horkoff working in front of the net. One penalty's over, and the shot goes wide of the net as Luongo lost his stick. Still a 5-on-4 for Edmonton early in the game. Jordan Everly into the middle of the ice. Passes off. Everly moved into the side of the net with Petry back at the point. Hemsky. Ever trying to break this one up. And another Vancouver penalty coming up.
Oh, it's going to be Everly.
Vancouver had the puck. And they blew it down, but it's Everly going off. It's going to be 4-on-4.
Here's the frustration. Everly thought that there should have been a penalty against Edler, and maybe there is going to be both. No, Edler was starting to go to the bench, too. Edler got Everly from behind and nailed him into the board. And on the recurring play, watch this effort here. He's trying to protect the puck. Gets nailed there. Didn't like it. Turns around and just whacks the stick. We saw earlier Higgins didn't get the call when his stick got knocked out. That time Edler lost his easily. The exit blocked that one shot, Jim, from the point right in the hand. And after a couple of games off for maintenance, try to get his body right. That's something you don't need going into the playoffs with that hand.
That's one to draw. Chris Tanev hustled just to keep this play on side. And so it's 4-on-4 here for over a minute. Henrik Sedin with Andrew Ebbett, who just got knocked down by Nick Schultz in the side of the net. Now Schultz has the puck. Horkoff put him up the middle. Ebbett took the puck away, and Vancouver starts up. Tanev to Henrik Sedin. Stalled outside the blue line. Now Hamhuis up to join him. Henrik hangs on. Centering. What a pass. Hamhuis in front. Ebbett can't finish it. What patience by Henrik Sedin. Ebbett. Tanev was all alone in front of the net. He couldn't get the puck out front. It was blocked.
I'd say Henrik Sedin's back. Don't you think, Jim? For the last while, he's been handling the puck with that confidence and calmness we've been used to seeing.
Ebbett with a shot deflected wide of the net. There's Ryan Whitney out to center. His hard pass missed Alex Hemsky. And Tanev is back, and there's an icing call against Edmonton with 15 seconds left of the Vancouver penalty. Then they'll be on a power play, so they've got the face-off in the right end of the ring.
He gets the nod from the coach to go right back on, and here's why. He's just so under control, a little curl back, and knows exactly where everybody is on the ice. And there's just no panic at all in his blood. He's got his head up the entire way, pass just across. Here's that play we talked about, the exit. A slap shot almost deflected it back towards his goal, but it definitely smarted the fingers.
Canucks won them.
And there's just no panic at all in his blood. He's got his head up the entire way, pass just across. Here's that play we talked about, the exit, a slap shot, almost deflected it back towards his goal, but it definitely smarted the fingers.
Canucks won the draw. Henrik Sedin, Ryan Kessler both on the ice here waiting the return of Burrows and the power play to start. But the Oilers get into the attacking zone. Nugent Hopkins with a shot. It's stopped by Roberto Luongo. Now Vancouver's on a power play for just over 30 seconds. Their second of the game. Edler with the drop back in the neutral zone. Henrik Sedin attacks the blue line and gets in to get set up. Here's Salo. Slap shot tipped wide by Burrows. Kessler's after the puck. Henrik Sedin, Andy Sutton stepped in and made a nice evasive move, and the Oilers get out to center. No further. Edler for Kessler. Kevin Bieksa just off the bench, tipped the puck in, and Sutton again clears it down the ice, and that should just about do it in the Eberle penalty. He's back on 5-on-5 again. Still no score in the game, and the shot's 12-3 Vancouver.
Yeah, it's really calmed down for Devin Dubnyk now, hasn't it? I mean, he made the big saves early on to keep his team in the game, and then now hasn't had to be that active in the last 5-6 minutes.
Here comes Sammy Paulson, straight up the middle, shoots! And Dubnyk just made himself large there, made the save and hangs on. Hockey night in Canada. From Vancouver continues in a moment.
Bio tonight.
Hockey night in Canada.
Rogers Arena, among them, Chris Higgins as the unsung hero, probably for making whatever line he plays on work. David Booth, most exciting player, the MVP, Henrik Sedin, who's risen to the occasion in the stretch drive, and Alex Edler, best defenseman, although it could just as easily have been Dan Hamhuis, Jim.
Things are starting to fall into place in the Western Conference. Phoenix has won. They'll be the third seed. And St. Louis has won, so temporarily at least. Technically right now, St. Louis is first in the West, having won tonight in Dallas. Vancouver needs a point to win the West, to win the President's Trophy. Vancouver needs a point to win the West, to win the President's Trophy.
In that regard, too, is Mike Smith. You can thank a goaltender for that one. He's been a real big part of that turnaround.
And for Vancouver to get a point, they're going to have to beat this big goaltender. Right now, here's Ales Hemsky in on the defense, takes the shot. Nice save by Luongo. Paulson out to center, Yannick Hansen has Higgins with him as he gains the blue line. The pass just missed Edler, who jumped up on the play. He's taken to the boards by Jeff Petrie. Hemsky. And Sam Gagner and Ryan Jones attacks the Vancouver blue line. Gagner, Hemsky just had his stick hooked at the last second. Here's a 2-on-1 the other way. Yannick Hansen with Chris Higgins, and the pass is in the air. He couldn't knock it down. Higgins, though, plays the puck to the blue line, and Salo has to retreat.
There's a good example of Higgins, that type of play in both ends of the ice. Makes a great defensive effort there, and then gets up ice in the odd man rush and has a good scoring chance.
It's not just a coincidence that every line he's played on has been the Canucks' best line this season.
I like the difficulty for Alain Vigneault, too. There's a really seduce you to put him on the Kessler line, but with that Paulson line, he had some offense where they otherwise wouldn't have. Don't you find he's maybe a little bit better fit there? But if Raymond and Booth don't get going, that's the problem on that second line. There's no scoring.
Kessler and Booth have been at their best when Higgins has been their lineman. With a hard pass, Tanev to Hamhuis, his shot, a rebound! Still banging away at the puck. They can't bury it. Dale Weiss had a wonderful chance, and Devin Dubnyk down again. Has now faced 14 Vancouver shots in the first period of the game in scoreless on Hockey Night in Canada. Now faced 14 Vancouver shots in the first period of the game in scoreless on Hockey Night in Canada. 14 defensively, but you need him on offense too.
Yeah, you need his scoring, but you can't put him in a position like on a checking line where he's reliable to come back, makes a good play, and if that puck had been able to settle down for Hansen, he might have had a chance. And then on the doorstep, Devin Dubnyk again, very solid as Kessler's in on the rebound, as was Dale Weiss. And Dubnyk's been solid with 15 saves so far.
Kessler and Horkoff with a face-off. Vancouver's an excellent face-off team. Horkoff, who has had a great season in the circle, is still a good veteran centerman.
You think as a youngster, too, Nugent Hopkins just 48%. That's one of the toughest things I can tell you as a young centerman, just learning your way around the face-off god in their rookie year. It's so difficult.
There's Horcoff, passes off. Petrie's shot. That's stopped by Roberto Luongo. Starting to get a little busier as this period's worn on. David Booth with Kessler and Lapierre can't get out of their own zone. Belanger held the puck in. Ryan Smith to the net. And Luongo steered that aside. And in front of the net, Horcoff goes down. Did he get Sammy Salo's stick in the face, or did the puck hit him?
I didn't think the puck did, but Luongo played it perfectly. It was a slap pass across by Ryan Smith trying to hit Horcoff. And Luongo, as expected, just deflected it up. So maybe that puck did hit, but you could see Horcoff checking his teeth. Here's the play out of the corner. Oh, no, it was a stick. That's a high sticking penalty that I'm surprised. All four linesmen can have a talk here if he's bleeding. But right in front of the official, the stick of Salo came up. I don't see anybody in the box, Jim. So
nope.
The Canucks got away with one there.
Sammy looking very innocent. Doesn't want to look anybody in the eye.
No, just get back to the bench.
So play will continue 5-on-5.
Yeah, you mentioned Sean Horcoff, as you could see. And watch the high stick of Sammy Salo right there. Got right underneath the visor into the face.
Oilers go with the fourth line here. Vanderbilt, Ben Eager back in the lineup. And
underneath the visor into the face.
Oilers go with the fourth line here. Vanderbilt, Ben Eager.
To Sammy Salo right there. Got right underneath the visor into the face.
Oilers go with the fourth line here. Vanderbilt, Ben Eager back in the lineup. And Darcy Hordichuk up against Byron Vince, who's playing at center tonight for Vancouver. On the fourth line with Manny Malhotra on the left side, although he'll take a lot of faceoffs. And Dale Weiss. Vince hasn't played center up here with the Vancouver Canucks, but he did play quite a bit of center with the Chicago Wolves, the Canucks farm team in the American League.
It'll be really interesting to see how Manny Malhotra is used during the playoffs. And to find him with Paulson there, he really takes that role from him.
They end up with, Vancouver has 5 centermen over 50%. They have lefties, they have righties, they have all sorts of opportunities there. And we have enough, mostly for Edmonton here, we have the guys who could start a riot. I'm not sure how many takers they'll get with Vancouver. And it looks like Ben Eager's headed to the Vanderbilt.
Well, Vanderbilt got hit hard by Malhotra, and you see his face went into the dashboard. Malhotra got tied up with his arms, and the reaction coming after to Ben Eager, who got the retaliation call, and that's the only one that's called. So the Oilers don't get the call on Horcoff. Vanderbilt's checking his chicklets as well, and now another power play for the Canucks.
They're 0 for 2 with a man advantage, although their first power play was dominant with the exception of their inability to beat. Although their first power play was dominant with the exception of their inability to beat Devin Dubnyk.
There's the call. I mean, not much of a push, but it was a retaliation one. Malhotra standing there, and there's the pass.
So late in the first period of the game, scoreless, and the shots 15-5. Vancouver, Kessler, Burrows, Henrik Sedin come on.
Scores! The first goal of the Stanley Cup final for Ben Eager.
And that
ties the game with Game 7.
the only one that's called. So the Oilers don't get the call on Horcoff. Vanderbilt's checking his chicklets as well, and now another power play for the Canucks.
They're 0 for 2 with a man advantage, although their first power play was dominant with the exception of their inability to beat Devin.
Don't get the call on Horcoff. Vanderbilt's checking his chicklets as well, and now another power play for the Canucks.
They're 0 for 2 with a man advantage, although their first power play was dominant with the exception of their inability to beat Devin Dubnyk.
There's the call. I mean, not much of a push, but it was a retaliation.
It's 15-5. So late in the first period of the game, scoreless, and the shots 15-5. Vancouver, Kessler, Burrows, Henrik Sedin come onto the power play. Nick Schultz off the draw, tries to clear the puck in field. Sammy Salo, Alexander, the point of the power play. There's a steal by Eric Belanger. He gets the puck down the ice. He and Ryan Jones out with Schultz and Whitney to kill the penalty. Edler to center. Doesn't drop it back this time. Burrows gains entry to the attacking zone, and he dropped it back. And Belanger says thanks for the gift and cleared the puck from Vancouver.
I really think this power play is much like many of the Canucks are feeling. Just get to the postseason and start fresh. I mean, none of them today had really any answers on why it hasn't been clicking, but I think clearly they're just focused on getting to the postseason and starting new.
Ryan Smith trying to clear the puck. He'll need some help here from Andy Sutter. Burrows, Kessler, Henry Sedin all in close quarters here, and they get the puck. Burrows stopped by Dubnyk. A great pass and another great save by Devin Dubnyk. Edler. Here's Henrik Sedin to the front of the net. Edler tipped the puck just wide of the goal. Ryan Kessler now feeds the puck back, and Sammy Salo has to chase it to center. And you watch these first couple of power plays for Vancouver in the game and wonder again why it's not scoring.
Not just the finish, right? The finish at the end wasn't there, but the good sign is they're outmanning the penalty killers. They're ganging the puck together.
Here's Bieksa with a shot. There we have, and I'm not sure. Mostly for Edmonton here, we have the guys who can start a riot. I'm not sure if the takers will get it back. It looks like Ben Eagles headed to the penalty box.
Well, he tried to pass to the
hard by
late guy, his line mate, Paul at the dashboard.
Mahalter got tied up
around the Oiler net. Watch him anticipate the man. Good support as your center iceman to help out your defenseman down deep.
The Oilers.
Burrows was taken out by speed and just wonderful backup support from the kid.
Telling us he moved into an apartment with a little kitchenette in it this week and went shopping.
The good sign is they're outmanning the penalty killers. They're ganging the puck together.
Here's Bieksa with a shot, fearlessly blocked by Ryan Jones. Bieksa again had to wait for teammates to get onside. Dan Hamhuis is in with him. Feeds Bieksa, who stays in deep. Higgins, Emmett, and Booth. And Booth is back playing defense here as Ryan Jones attacks him. And then Booth gets the puck. Kevin Bieksa. They end up with Vancouver has 5 centermen over 50%.
They can't do this if
they have all sorts of
designs on holding this lead tonight, and that's slowed up this Canuck power play. Good hustle by KRV to come back and break up the initial play.
How many takers they'll get within a few
Not the worst of it because he went down.
Got hit hard by Mahalter, and you see his face went into the dashboard.
Stepped into him.
Mahalter got tied up with his arms, and the reaction kept
With the Canucks on the power play.
and there he really takes that role from him.
Right, they end up with Vancouver has 5 centermen over 50%. They have lefties, they have righties, they have all sorts of opportunities there. And we have mostly for Edmonton here. We have the guys who could start a riot. I'm not sure how many takers they'll get with Vancouver. And it looks like Ben Eagers headed to the penalty box.
Well, Vanderbilt got hit hard by Mahalter, and you see his face went into the dashboard. Mahalter got tied up with his arms, and the reaction coming after was Eager, who got the retaliation call, and that's the only one that's called. So the Oilers don't get the call on Horkoff. Vanderbilt.
They're 0 for 2 with a man advantage, although their first power play was dominant with the exception of their inability to beat Devin Dubnyk. Power play was dominant with the exception of their inability to beat Devin Dubnyk.
There's the call. I mean, not much of a push, but it was a retaliation one. Mahalter
Wide of the goal. It's a breakaway to Tuesday. Last minute of the first period. Hamhuis out to center. 5-on-5 here in the last minute of the first period.
The last minute of the first period.
The X flips the puck to center. Cam Parker knocks it down. Straight up the middle. Turnover at the blue line as Everly's knocked down. Here comes Sammy Paulson with Lafayette and Booth to the net. Tip right on. And another fine save by Dubnyk. This time on a 2-foot tip by Sammy Paulson. Tomorrow night at 8, Russell Peters stars in the movie Breakaway. And Tuesday night at 9, he's back with Russell Peters' Best Night Ever. Only on CBC coming up.
Been a good sign for the Canucks as well, as they've been getting some good chances off the rush. That speed through the neutral zone, backing the Oilers D off, and Dubnyk again just tracking the puck exceptionally well, not overplaying it, and up to 17 saves now in the period.
Those 8 games where he's got
Off and getting
coming up.
been a good sign for the Canucks as well as they've been getting some good chances off the rush. That speed through the neutral zone, backing the Oiler D off, and Dubnyk again just tracking the puck exceptionally well, not overplaying it, and up to 17 saves now in the period.
Those 8 games where he's got 7-1 and his last 8 on the road, he's given up just 16 goals. So this is a recurring theme for Edmonton on the road.
It's just going to give them so much more confidence in the young man going into next year, too. A restricted free agent.
Pierre and room for the net tip by the net. Oh, what a save by Dubnyk. This time on a 2-foot tip by Sammy Carson. Trying to save it, he's in tomorrow night is shooting motion as he's fighting. Breakaway with Tuesday night and he's back across the Peters.
Second penalty of the game.
CBC coming in.
There it was. He tried to make the play. Just rode right up the stick. Rushes right up the stick and an eye pusher.
Off the rush.
Didn't turn out very well early in the game when Smith was in the bin.
He said it was a shooting motion.
Right. Exactly. That was his argument.
Up to 17 saves.
I'm sorry, but if you're in the act of shooting,
his last 8 on the road,
it was more of a chop, and they must have felt like both sticks were arriving there at the same time.
Shallow still out there, no worse for wear on a 5-on-3 situation.
Shot 17-5 in a scoreless tie, and one reason. And they'll be glad to get to the dressing room in a scoreless tie, and one reason for that is Devin Dubnyk outshot 17-5 in the scoreless first period here.
Vancouver.
Jim, the Canucks
outshot 17-5 in the scoreless period on the scoreboard.
Jim, the Canucks all over the Oilers to start this game, but nothing to show for it on the scoreboard. Coast to coast coming up from Studio 42. And when we come back to Rogers Arena, we'll get a word with Henrik Sedin. Rogers Arena with the Canucks and Oilers still scoreless. The Canucks focused on getting a point and the playoffs, which will likely begin here on Wednesday night. And it's possible, probably likely, the Canucks will not have Daniel Sedin to start. Questions about his recovery from the concussion he suffered on the elbow from Duncan Keith are met with almost no response. Mike Gillis did say a few weeks ago he expected Sedin to be ready for the postseason, but that appears unlikely now. The postseason is 4 days away, and Sedin has not yet even skated. Reports that he has skated on his own, we are given to understand, are untrue. So it would seem unlikely that he'll be available for Game 1 here at Rogers Arena. Jim?
And good luck finding out anything about that. Alain Vigneault set the modern-day National Hockey League record during the playoffs last year by going 65 straight press conferences without saying a thing. And he has a chance to break that record this year because he's already brought the cone of silence down.
No information given at all, and especially on Daniel.
Here's Chris Tanev as the second period begins, and he puts one off the pipe, and the puck left the park.
A little bit of discussion between Aaron Whitney and Kevin Dubnyk about whose responsibility that was. A little seeing miscommunication there as Dubnyk turns it away, and then all of a sudden Dubnyk didn't pick it up very quickly. Maybe a little bit of deflection off the defender, and that fooled him. But he reached for it, but got help from his goalpost.
Henrik Sedin, Alex Burrows, Andrew Redden tries this line for the Vancouver Canucks. Henrik Sedin
got help from his goalpost.
Henrik Sedin. Second period begins, and he puts one off the pipe, and the puck left the park.
A little bit of discussion between Aaron Whitney and Kevin Dubnyk about whose responsibility that was. A little seeing miscommunication there as Dubnyk turns it away, and then all of a sudden Dubnyk didn't pick it up very quickly. Maybe a little bit of deflection off the defender, and that fooled him.
The attacking zone the way they did in the first period. Jones couldn't clear the puck. Burrows with a centering attempt. Right back to playing in the attacking zone the way they did in the first period. Jones couldn't clear the puck. The exit kept it in with another shot on goal. Nick Schultz took a hit, but he made the play to Ryan Whitney. The Oilers quickly get out to center. Jones trying to feed Gagne. Intercepted by Kevin Bieksa. Bieksa up the boards, and Vancouver's out of its own zone in a hurry. Burrows with some speed. Just onside, the trailer is Edler, and he shoots, and that's blocked by Hemsky, and he's down and hurt. But he made the block, and the Oilers come back with the puck. Gagne straight up the middle, snaps a shot off the stick out of play.
Alex Hemsky was the most dangerous of the Edmonton Oilers in the first period. He had 3 of their 5 shots on goal, and he had number of good rushes. Here he comes back in a defensive spot and just gets in the way. And that, instead of staying square, he turned to the side, and that's why he got it right in the ankle. He didn't really want to get that one in the top of the foot. But a nice play by Edler jumping up. That created the play, making that a 4-on-3. Which created that chance.
He's been doing a lot of that early in this game tonight. And he shoots, and that's blocked by Hemsky, and he's down and hurt. His argument. But he made the block, and the Oilers come back with the puck.
Well, if you're in the shot off the stick out of play. But it was more of a 5 shots on goal. They must have felt like both sticks were right in there at the same time.
Shallow still out there, no worse for wear on a 5-on.
Instead of staying square.
I'm sorry, but if you're in the act of shooting, but it was more of a chop tonight.
I really think that if you look again, going into the playoffs, the defensive push from the back end makes such a difference. And they've been one of the best. They've been just below Ottawa in that department all year.
Even without Christian Ehrhoff, in fact, they're just about even with their stats from last year. The Oilers get into the attacking zone. Belanger ran into Ryan Smith. Horkoff on this veteran line. The Oilers are really dependent on their kids. Without Hall and Nugent Hopkins and Eberle, they'd be in real big trouble.
That's the good and the bad, isn't it? The young guys have been the real contributors.
Well, they are in real big trouble. I shouldn't say that, but they'd be even worse off because the veterans haven't done as much as they had hoped.
Well, and that's going to be the challenge going forward is that next balance of who do you bring in to add to the good nucleus of young players that clearly, Jim, they've shown that they belong not only in the NHL, but they're at a pretty darn high level. With Eberle almost a point per game as well as a great year by Nugent Hopkins. There's too many men on the ice, I think, there. If not just an icing. Or, I mean, an offside.
An offside. I don't see anybody signaling a penalty. Are they going to get away with that?
They
or
are. They are, I think. I mean, that's a play that was put offside.
That was gridlock.
It was, wasn't it? You've already got a few too many out, and now bodies. Look at 1, 2. You got 4, 5, 6 guys changing. And the offside was the call. I think the focus was just on the play at the blue line and not the fact that there's too many blue sweaters out there. That's the second break that Vancouver's had in the penalty department.
Tanev with a weak shot that went wide of the net. Manny Malhotra, Dale Weiss trying to get to his forehand. Couldn't do it. Byron Fitz on this forward line for Vancouver as well. Vancouver's fourth line out against the top line of the Oilers. Nugent Hopkins, Timo Hartikainen, Jordan Eberle. And Eberle pursues the puck. Tanev comes after him. Weiss back defensively. A centering pass alone in front. Eberle can't get the shot. Looked like he wanted to get to his forehand. There's a centering pass by Nugent Hopkins.
Almost looked like he got stuck, didn't he? I mean, good play by him. He was closing down on him, but
facing the wrong way, and he couldn't figure it out.
How am I going to get this towards the net? What a play by Hartikainen out of the corner.
Here's Hartikainen again. A good poke check by Roberto Luongo for the net attack. A good shift here for Edmonton's top line. Now the Oilers out of their own zone. Made the change. Hemsky's back on. To Brian Jones. Pass to Sam Gagner. He'll have to chase after Alexander. There's a night with Kevin Bieksa. Edler reversed the play. There's a hard rink wide pass out of the reach of Yannick Hansen. Dubnik plays the puck to the corner. Petrie, Brian Jones, and back the other way. Hemsky will try and get this puck out. Edler won't let it. Got there first. Andy Paulson, Chris Higgins, Yannick Hansen battling for the puck. Hemsky trying to get it out. And Barker has to turn back in his own zone. Petrie has really had a breakthrough season, been a bit of a revelation for the Oilers. And as much as people talk about how much help they need on defense, they've found some pretty good players, including Jeff Petrie. Matty Smith, Speeds had a pretty good season. Well, they had Whitney healthy. With the injuries that they had, for such a long stretch of the season, Petrie ended up getting a lot more ice time than he maybe would have originally. Here's Gagner with his forehand, stopped by Luongo. Out comes Henrik Sedin, 2-on-2. Andrew Evans cuts into the middle, trying to get away from Sutton, couldn't do it. The great reach of Sutton knocked the puck back through center. That was the first big save for Roberto Luongo. It's a tough game where all of a sudden you're 25 minutes into the game, you've hardly seen the puck. That was a good
shoulder save on Gagne. He made a nice move to get there.
Shots are 18-6 favoring Vancouver. There's Colton Tugart behind the net, playing his first game in close to his hometown. He grew up in White Rock, graduate of the Semi-Abu Ravens Minor Hockey Association. There's a shot by Lapierre, and he's stopped by Devin Dupnik, who hangs on as the Canucks direct their 19th towards the Edmonton goal.
And for Luongo, we saw earlier a good poke check on the play at the net. This time, the exit goes for the hit, a little spin off by Gagne, and then he protects the puck exceptionally well. Luongo was already down. Gagne tried to go up and over, but there wasn't a whole lot of room with that big body as Sam Gagne looks up and watches that. That's already down. Gagne tried to go up and over, but there wasn't a whole lot of room with that big body as Sam Gagne looks up and watches that.
Kessler set to face off.
Tried to go up and over, but there wasn't a whole lot of room with that big body as Sam Gagne looks up and watches that.
Kessler set to face off against Chris Vandeveld, and he wins the draw. The Oilers had the advantage in the first period. One more face-offs, but that's about all they won.
Darcy Hordichuk closed that one off. He knows all those. He knows all those plays from being here. He read that one perfectly and shut down Salah.
Here's David Booth up against Vandeveld. The Salah at the blue line snaps a shot, an easy save for Devin Dupnik.
Now, Jim, if you look at the Vancouver Canucks and dissect what's going to happen come playoff time, we've mentioned this is the line. I mean, this is a line that you have to find a way to score some goals. And David Booth, who's been hot and cold since coming to the Vancouver Canucks from the Florida Panthers, 10 games without a goal. Surprisingly, Kessler, as I mentioned, from 41 goals and 73 points last year to just 22 goals at this stage. And you think come playoff time, this Canuck team, especially Jim, if Daniel Sedin happens to have to miss some of the early play, they become even more important.
They seem pretty set on their third and fourth line now, probably deeper than they were last year into the playoffs, and their fourth line is out on the ice now.
And a little bit of depth on the defense, too. I mean, Grignani's not playing tonight, but you know you've got Roman Alberts who can play that 6, 7, 8 goal, and Grignani's an offensive guy. Maybe takes a few too many chances than what they would like, but if a skilled defenseman goes down, he can come in and play that role.
He's now up to 80 games, so he's no longer going to be an unrestricted free agent. It'll be interesting to see if he does get back in the lineup. But they have 9 healthy defensemen now, with Keith Ballard set to go in the playoffs if they need him to.
And as you know, I mean, from going down to the Stanley Cup final, Game 7, you're going to need all 9 and then some. I mean, the injuries are just bound to happen, and the attrition that is the Stanley Cup playoffs ends up taking its toll.
Boy, Edler looks good tonight. He just started that play out of his own zone. Byron Bitts snapped the shot wide of the net. Tail Reese tracks it down. Here's Manny Malhotra to his backhand. Couldn't get a good shot away. And he's sucked. Reverses in the corner, and after the puck, Nugent Hopkins. Teemu Hartikainen. Sammy Paulson held the puck in the midst of the Vancouver change here. Levinho just rolling 4 lines. He doesn't seem to be worried about playing a checking line against anyone tonight, just getting everybody into the game. Would be the matchup if this was a playoff series. Paulson's checking line against Nugent Hopkins' top line. Jordan Eberle dumps the puck, and that's the end of the shift for the Young Oilers.
And that's something that Nugent Hopkins, I think, has handled very well with all the questions about his size and frailty coming into the National Hockey League. He's handled those matchups as the years gone along quite effectively.
Janet Hansen with a shot off the wing, screwed aside by Devin Dupnik. Breakout pass for Hemsky, got by him, and there's a race for the puck. Matthews is back in an icing call against Edmonton. They won't be able to change. Coming up on Monday night, don't miss Alberta Ballet's groundbreaking show inspired by and featuring the music of Sir Elton John. That's Monday night at 9 on CBC. Playoffs, the second season of the NHL, start Wednesday.
Boy, just walking around town.
The second season of the NHL start Wednesday.
The Stanley Cup
Boy,
final.
just walking around town today in the
Last game of the
sunshine.
season.
Start Wednesday.
2012-13.
Boy, just walking around town today in the sunshine. Did it not feel like everyone's getting ready for playoffs starting Wednesday or Thursday? It's like, here we go again.
Good time to back in ice and Paul just said that they won't be able
On
to
the
change.
rebound. It was like one of those nightmare goals that's going in slow motion. And just like Nugent Hopkins earlier in the period, saved one in the crease. This time it's the timing of Henrik Sedin to come in and chop this one just over the line. And I mean barely. They're going to have a look at this. Any part of that puck still on the line. Quite a fight for Big Dubnyk with Berlin. And saved one in the crease. This time it's the timing of Henrik Sedin to come in and chop this one just over the line. And I mean barely. They're going to have a look at and chop ocean crease. This time it's the timing of Henrik Sedin to come in and chop this one just over the line. And I mean barely. They're going to have a look at this. Any part of that puck still on the line. Edmonton Hopkins earlier in the period saved one in the crease. This time it's the timing of Henrik Sedin to come in and chop this one just over the line.
Got 5 and there's a race. So I think for this time of utilizing every move the Canucks make, you can tell it's playoffs. Yeah. Ryan Whitney. Intentionally wide of the net. Hensky tried to track the puck down. Alex Burrows got there first. He plays the puck to Salo. And to Henrik Sedin, and Vancouver's out to center. A backhand pass hit Nick Schultz and bounced into the penalty box, stopping play. Still no score. Shots 22. Schultz and bounced into the penalty box, stopping play. Still no score.
Tied at 1. It's Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final from Vancouver, BC.
Cup final game, the Vancouver Canucks, I think, for this year is a comfortability about playing in a scoreless game. They don't care if this game goes on for a while as long as they win it.
And I think they've all bought into that. I think at the expense of some of their offensive numbers, you look at the top scorers from last year compared to this year, it's down considerably. But I think as a
the Oilers being outshot 24-6 by the Canucks, but Edmonton is a shot away from taking the lead in this game. The mantra of Steve Tambolini and the Oilers for much of the season was they were not interested in having a chance at the #1 pick in the draft lottery. They have no exactly where they are. Montreal beating Toronto earlier consigned the Oilers to 29th. They have no chance at 28th, and 29th gives them an additional 4% chance of winning the #1 selection. So there's good and bad news in having the second worst record in the league. But Jim, discussing whether it's best to finish 28th or 29th was not what the Oilers had in mind this season.
No, but then you have to
So there's good and bad. Montreal beating Toronto earlier consigned the Oilers to 29th. They have no chance at 28th, and 29th gives them an additional 4% chance of winning the #1 selection. So there's good and bad news in having the second worst record in the league. Beginning 9th, that's exactly where they are. Montreal beating Toronto earlier consigned the Oilers to 29th. They have no chance at 28th, and 29th gives them an additional 4% chance of winning the #1 selection. So there's good and bad news in having the second worst record in the league. But Jim, discussing whether it's best to finish 28th or 29th. They're consigned the Oilers to 29th. They have no chance at 28th, and 29th gives them an additional 4% chance of winning the #1 selection. So there's good and bad news in having the second worst record in the league. But Jim, discussing whether it's best to finish 28th or 29th is not what the Oilers have in mind this season.
No, but then you have to take this into consideration whether it's extra 4% probably left over, but he turns up on Tuesday. So this is the There's that one shot, Scott was talking about. Just about 1 number the Oilers did with the game. 6 points. David Booth into the slot. Ryan Kessler can't control the puck with his skates. Hartikainen heads it to center. Here's Tanev backing up with Dan Andrews. Matching left wing with Kessler and Booth. Tanev jumps up and he gets the puck from Booth Cook. Centering pass is tipped by Nugent Hopkins into the corner. Pierre turns and fired off the stick. Hartikainen with Jordan Eberle. Falls in behind Nugent Hopkins and dumps the puck into the Oilers change on the fly. Sammy Sile on his own zone. Well, beat Alex Burrows. All he could do was tip the puck in. Petrie's back. Andrew Evans right on it. Hendrik Sedin in against Horcoff. Out of the reach of Evans. Petrie to the blue line. Ballonge took the puck out to center. Ryan Smith. Horcoff straight up the middle. Gets control. To Smith. Can't get the shot. Salo closed on him in a hurry. Horcoff kicks the puck out to his feet. Plays it to the point. Jeff Petrie. He's one through the middle. Along with kick to the side. Eric Ballonge. Ryan Smith trying to work out front. Ran into the net and rocked it, but didn't knock it off. Cam Parker with a shot that went off the skate and just wide. Now the Oilers are starting to get some chances. Horcoff to the front of the net. Rejected. And home wraps up Ryan Smith. So that was like a hold along the boards there. The Canucks got away with that, and Cam Parker has the puck at center. Good shift. That Horcoff line. And the puck is dumped back into the place offside.
Well, after an 18-goal rookie season, Jordan Eberle has followed up with a beauty. 34 goals for this year, and that quick release is one of the reasons why. And you can see it was on his stick for a split second. The puck was rolling, so he didn't get all of it. But that little bit of a knuckle puck kind of fooled Roberto Luongo, and he didn't get the off the post and in that so many times he had.
76 points, 8 penalty minutes. It is a little bit, yeah. With the Lady Bears.
I said for the great second year, so often you hear the second year slump. It's been anything but for Eberle.
Evening. He's the puck away to the front of the net. Canucks can't take advantage of what this dude Evan Dukas made in the game.
And as I was thinking in order to get back to that 50-goal range, my money would be on Eberle. I think with the skills he has around the net, we've seen at all levels his ability to score big goals. And with the guys he's going to get to play with, I think he's got a great opportunity to.
Jones with a hard centering pass. Chris Higgins couldn't clear the puck. There's Gagne. Hemsky. What a move. Takes the shot. Another goal post. Now they hit one on each side, and each team has a pair. Higgins dumps the puck into the game, remains scoreless.
And Alex Hemsky's got his hands and his legs moving today. He's been their best player offensively by far.
Here's Ben Eager. Tips the puck in and goes in after Dan.
Tip there, and he knows that he's not going to be able to get that puck to Jones, and he does the right thing. Quick little shot that I think even Roberto might have got just a bit of it. Yeah, he did. His pad got a little bit of that shot right there, and just enough to get it off the post and out. So the frustration continues for the Oilers off the posts.
Oilers' fourth line ice the puck. They have to stay on. The Canucks counter with Ryan Kessler's line. And it's all the way down the ice. Tanev is the first man back.
And he got all the way in. They don't have that mentioned earlier. Indication line made it into the net, yet it's coming.
This time he makes
to where they can figure out in Toronto when they review this
to get that puck to Jones
and go over the ballistics, whether it did in fact
shot that
travel all the way over the red goal line.
Yeah, he did.
Interesting set for the Oilers shot. Killing penalties with two forwards and a 5-on-3, two forwards and one defenseman. A lot of teams will go with the
continues for the Oilers off the puck.
Darcy Hordichuk scooped like this. Hordichuk can't get out. Salo kept it in. Here's the puck as Hordichuk comes in. Here's Ryan Kessler. Hordichuk on a payback. And Devin Dubnik makes the save. And now I predict a riot. Well, in a game like this, as much as they need the point, the Canucks want no part of this. This is Darcy Hordichuk steamed after getting steamrolled.
He got hit hard by Lapierre, didn't like it, and got up and almost took Kessler out.
Nobody's got too much spirit for this, save Darcy on Hockey Night in Canada.
The
Conversation
whole lot of
continues.
chirping.
Boy, there's a lot of talking going on down there.
Oh, here's why. Hordichuk playing the puck out here just levels him down. Now, Darcy takes a look at who it was. He knows exactly. Thinking of finding his spot, and ends up being Kessler that almost gets it. And once the whistle goes, you knew that they were going to come in. Here's the extra penalty right there. The right chop by Ben Eager that he got the punch in, and the talking has just continued on from the ice into the box, and it's, I'm sure, pretty comical down there.
Well, the Vancouver Canucks will be on the power play for the 4th time in the game. They are 0 for 3. They've had some wonderful chances with a man advantage and haven't been able to finish against Devin Dugan.
Aren't you getting a little worried now if you're Alain Vigneault? You just put the pedal down a bit. You've done a lot of good things in this game, but that extra point really is important now that St. Louis has that home ice.
Kessler won the draw. Alexander Edler has the puck. Along the boards for Sammy Salo and back. Edler, the big screen in front. Here's Henrik Sedin. Alex Edler misfired on the pass. Salo burrows high in the slot. Henrik Sedin on the right wing boards, and a miscue at the blue line, and Ryan Smith takes off for the penalty killers and throws one in to a lob ball at Roberto Luongo. Extra penalty for roughing. They're roughing penalties all around, and the extra one goes to Eager. And actually, Darcy Hordichuk ended up getting 2. Henrik Sedin. Kevin Bieksa. Burrows in the slot. Kessler providing the screen in front. Alex Edler at the right point. Takes the shot. Dubnyk rejected. Rebound. Sedin. Kevin. Actually, Darcy Hordichuk ended up getting 2. Actually, Darcy Hordichuk ended up getting 2. Actually, Darcy Hordichuk ended up getting 2. Henrik Sedin. Kevin Bieksa. Burrows in the slot. Kessler providing the
as he gets that puck, he knows exactly where Henrik's going to be. Henrik on the doorstep. Watch the little pass there by Burrows off the back. And for him, too.
Maybe they're just resetting the penalty clock here. Sedin from Burrows. Go back and look at Fleur at 15:47.
Watch the play by Burrows, though. I mean, he knows exactly where Henrik's going to be. But, Jim, amazingly, just 2 goals in 39 games before that one for Henrik Sedin. I mean, that's a 5-goal season pace. It's just unlike him.
I think he's fully inspired today because there's a Swede leading the Masters.
Okay. Well, right now, finally, after so many shots, 27-9 still, as Dubnyk's been rock solid. He made a good save there, but couldn't get that second rebound. That's a big goal for the Canucks.
Got 4 minutes for roughing.
But couldn't get that second rebound. That's a big goal for the Canucks. It's a big goal for the Canucks. There, but couldn't get that second rebound. That's a big goal for the Canucks. Get that second rebound.
And Kevin Bieksa. David Booth with a pass that went off the skate and out. Chris Higgins in with Andrew Ebbett. Booth is open in the slot, but the puck comes back to Bieksa. Andrews is on the other side. David Booth has a screen, passes off. Higgins. Ebbett parked in front of the net. Van Andrews to Kevin Bieksa as the Canucks go around the outside. Booth. Bieksa. Now Higgins has gone to the front of the net. Andrews. Smith kept it from getting his shot away. All he can do is keep it in, and they'll go round again. Booth to Bieksa. Fakes the shot. Passes off to Andrews. Into the middle. Ebbett tips the puck to the corner. Ryan Smith gets to it. Volkov can't get it out, nor can Schultz. But accidentally, Andrew Ebbett can. And the Canucks have to regroup, and they'll change up their power play as in comes Alex Edler again. Henrik Sedin's back home. There's the pass to Kessler. Bounced off his skate. Up the middle. Here's a chance to break away. Ryan Jones, short-handed. Stop!
What a burst of speed by Alex Edler. He just took off. Jones, I think, was shocked that he got there so quickly. And Jones wanted a penalty, and maybe a penalty shot there with the efforts of Edler.
That was close.
We've seen it called for less, haven't we?
Hordichuk's out of the penalty box. 5-on-5 again. He hits for the net. Belonzi trying to hit the trailer. Brian Jones, and his shot was blocked. He waited too long. Burroughs tipped it. Late stages, second period. 1-0 Vancouver on a goal by Henrik Sedin. Burroughs to center. Out of the reach of Kessler. Alex Burroughs again stole the puck from Sam Gagner. Dumps it in. Vancouver needs a change here as Jeff Petrie gets back to the puck. Dan Parker. Petrie. Into the attacking zone, got by Paulson, turns and fires to the front of the net harmlessly. Gagner is there. Out of the reach of Hemsky. Quickly out of his own zone, Chris Tanev. Safely up the boards. Spivey leads him on the ice. Petrie, straight up the middle of Sam Gagner. Gagner leads him, passes off the heart to Kynan into the middle. Broken up by Dan Handus and sent back to center. Whitney's pass. Ryan Hemsky left to chase it. Handus is back ahead of him. From his knees, stays with it, and makes the play on the boards. And out comes Chris Tanev. Ryan Whitney forced back in the last minute of the second period. Vancouver needing a single point tonight to finish first in the West and first overall. The Canucks Handus. Give away Vanderbilt. That stop as Everly got a quick shot away. Tanev blocked at Higgins. Back the other way in the work as Vanderbilt takes the turnover and heads back. Good tight slip by the check of Higgins as he dumps the puck in over Everly's right out. Pietza takes the man, Handus the puck. I don't know. It deflected over the glass out of play.
Well, no greater motivation to get back than when you're the guy who makes the bad play. And it's an errant pass that goes off to Kessler by Edler. But look at how quickly he's back in the seat. Brian Jones thinks he has time, and he can make that call. Is that the call right there to the hands? That's what Jones wanted, and then the play over top. And Jim, if you've been following the Oilers through, the one thing that they've been feeling is as the 29th place team playing a lot of key games against LA, who's fighting for a playoff spot back-to-back. Vancouver, they just haven't been getting the calls against. They haven't had many power play opportunities.
Down 40 opportunities from last year. Ryan Smith at the side of the net.
Setting the Stanley Cup final. The final game of the 2012 second period turns in.
Well, Vancouver Canucks have shot Edmonton 10-5, and now Scott just a period away from the President's Trophy to first place in the West and the start of the playoffs.
Well, Jim, Devin Dubnyk has had all the answers tonight, save for one, and that one goal may just do it for the Canucks. Scoreboard Saturday coming up, and Oiler defenseman Ryan Whitney will join us when we return to Rogers Arena.
The Canucks are 20 minutes away from the President's Trophy for the second consecutive year, and
the Stanley Cup for the first time
President's Trophy for the second consecutive year, and being time guaranteed. Always advantage throughout the playoffs. They have some work to do here. Deep time down in San Jose. 1-0 Los Angeles late in the second period. There's a chance to go to Everly, and his kick was checked in the last goal. And the Canucks have to make sure they don't have an accident here.
33 games, Jim, they have gone into the third period with a lead and come out with at least a point. They were 31-0-2 before Thursday's game in Calgary where they gave up that lead. Very eerily similar right now. They can't afford that to happen here.
Although they do need only 1 point. There's Roberto Luongo. Campbell's the skipping puck off the board to finish the thought. Los Angeles still ahead 1-0 late in the second period. The winner of that game gets the 7th seed. Loser is to the stick 1 point. There's Roberto Luongo. Campbell's the skipping puck off the board to finish the thought. Los Angeles still ahead 1-0 late in the second period. The winner of that game gets the 7th seed. Loser is 8th.
Well, right here, a great chance out of the corner, and defensively, he comes back again, but Higgins, he just collapses back down to the slot, doesn't overplay it, just gets the stick in the way. And that's so important from a defensive checking, that good active stick, which the Canucks do extremely well.
This has been the Oilers' best line tonight. Alex Hemsky, So Gagne, Ryan Jones, and they're up against the Kessler line. David Booth. Alex Evans once again jumps up in the play, snaps a shot. Dubnik made the save, cleared the puck. That's up near the third Edmonton forward line. There's a loose puck side of the net, cleared away. That's the air against Gagne. Kessler against Parker. Petrie against Booth, and Booth worked out front. Bieksa was right there. Gagne, in support of his defense, made a nice play. Here's Ryan Jones off the wing. His shot is blocked. Bieksa got back to clear it. Ryan Kessler to Alex Edler. Well, he looks like he's getting himself playoff ready tonight. He's had a great game, don't you think?
He really has. He's jumped up offensively, really skating well. And when you've got that push and that speed from the back end, it just forces teams to defend so differently when you're jumping up.
Here's Alex Burrows, takes the shot. Dubnik the save. Colton Tubert pulled the puck away from Andrew Ebbett on the rebound.
Here's another example of Dubnik not overplaying. Jim, he just stayed back. He knew that not many options for Burrows there.
Trying to center for Burrows. Left the puck for Henrik Sedin. He's pinned to the boards. Finally, Ryan Smith gets the puck into the scrum. Belanger at center to Horcoff, but a quick solo slaps the puck back in. Henrik Sedin guards it after, got there in a hurry against Tubert, but his line mates have fallen on the chain. Dale Weiss has just come on.
Here we go, Steelers! Here we go!
Center.
Here we go, Steelers!
He's had a good night, too, playing with Dan Andrews.
Here we go, Steelers!
This would be the 17th consecutive game for Tanev where he hasn't been a minus if he gets through this one.
And maybe there's part of your answer with Alain Vigneault and changing up the partners just to give guys different opportunities, too.
Eager with a long shot blocked by Roberto Luongo. 30-11 now in favor of Vancouver.
Well, here's the long stretch pass with Vancouver. Worked so well. A little pump back in the neutral zone. But look at Dubnik. Just didn't overplay it. Knew that he was protected on the inside. There's the bump back with the speed of Burrows beating Tubert to the outside. And it's just a very easy-looking save by Dubnik, who's been exceptional.
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to face off against Sammy Paulson. Paulson is almost 60% of his face-offs since he joined Vancouver. This is what they hired him for.
Yeah,
he wasn't used to playing with a one-goal lead in Columbus, but this is more his game now. 1-0 lead, and play the checking role in the third.
Just so great to, as a coach to have that security blanket, too. A guy who can play in every situation.
Also got a little finish. Little insurance for the Vancouver Canucks. Sammy Paulson gets the goal.
Guy for third. Just so great to, as a coach to have that security blanket too. A guy who can play in every situation.
There's Henrik Sedin. Sedin scores! Score! Also got a little finish. Henrik Sedin gets his second goal tonight with 7. Makes it 3-1. Little insurance for the Vancouver.
His first goal as the Vancouver Canucks, a slapper, that was a game winner. This one just kind of a nothing play, a little bit of a botched play by Dubnik and Whitney. Whitney left it. Hansen with a good heads-up play to the stop. And that was just plain beat Devin Dubnik. He was back deep and got beat to the blocker. I don't know whether he lost his net or not. That's just a perfectly played shot. The last-minute goaltender left the toughest spot to grab, 14 inches stick side. And off a good pass out of the corner off of the box play, Paulson hammers it home. Great shot.
And so the Canucks inch a little closer to securing the point they need to win a second consecutive President's Trophy. And win with Wet Southern having been given a reprieve by St. Louis, losing at home to Phoenix, and the Rangers losing today at home to Washington. Here's Brian Kessler with Lapierre, takes the shot, rebound. Lapierre couldn't get a hold of it. And the puck was knocked over the glass, and they're going to say that's a deflection. There'll be no penalty on the play.
That was a good comeback save by Dubnik after Kessler, who's trying to break an 11-game streak as well. Just a hesitation, gets the goaltender going across to his left, but he kicks out that right save. Watch this shot, though. I mean, this is just a perfectly placed shot. And Jim, for that line again, look at Higgins got a presence in front of the net. Danik Hansen now has 6 points in his last 10 games. And I think that is one of those lines. And Jim, for
General City shoots. He scores! It's 4-1 Vancouver in Game 7. Daniel City is his fourth.
Trying to break an 11-game streak as well. With the hesitation against the goaltender going across to the left, he picks up that right too. That's the shot, man. And this is an 11-game streak as well. With the hesitation against the roof. There's a good comeback saved by Dubnik after Kessler trying to break an 11-game streak as well. With the hesitation against the goal, trying to break the good comeback saved by Dubnik after Kessler, who's trying to break an 11-game streak as well. Dubnik rebound into Washington.
Here's Ryan Kessler. Ryan's got the air, takes the shot.
The shot, he scores! And the Oilers are back to 2 goals, and it's 4-2.
And the puck is knocked over the glass, and they're going to say that's a deflection. There'll be no penalty on the play.
Oh, a good comeback.
3 goals in a span of 37 seconds.
Saved by Dubnik after Kessler, who's trying to break an 11-game streak as well. Just a hesitation, gets the goaltender going across to the left, and he picks out that right save. That's his shot, man. And this is just a perfectly placed shot. And Jim, for that line again, look at Higgins got a presence in front of the net. Danik Hansen now has 6 points in his last 10 games. And I think that is one of those lines that manager Neal really likes to play games. I think that is one of those lines that manager Neal really likes the defensive prowess. But if you can have some offense, that's a great combination.
Every once in a while, got a big goal. You think about a playoff game as Dubnik rejects another one, and Henrik Sedin gets the puck, trying to pass it blocked.
This is a puck looking at the net, sent that right through. That's the shot, and this is just a perfectly placed shot. And Jim, for that line again, look at Higgins got presence in front of the net. Danik Hansen now has 6 points in his last 10 games. I think that is one of those lines that
every once in a while, gets the puck, tries to pass it blocked. It's the playoff game, that second goal in a
4-2 Canucks.
Henrik Sedin on the
2-1. Henrik has doubled up.
I mean, Carlson in that position, it just fits so well. And the Hulk at times had to play in that role. I think it's an upgrade.
Henrik Sedin in his own zone. Sammy South. Left out by Ben Eagle. Eagle looks like he's got a real purpose because he is going Vancouver and by his back. He's hit by fire and hits lines against each other. Let's play the video and make sure his fourth line's out against Edmonton's fourth the rest of the way here. Just in case.
I think number 40, he had to go beyond the bench when Hordichuk got there and Darcy was looking for him. He was looking at him at the beginning.
The Oilers are trying to fight off Hordichuk. Keep your head up on this shift. Danny Malhotra, Kevin Bieksa, Alex Edler. See what I mean? That was Cole Tudor who took a run at Alex Edler.
A lot of noise on that shift.
Pretty loud stick-in.
We want the cup. It's settled down here on this one.
They shovel the puck ahead. Nick Schultz and their offensive forward. They stay after the puck away. Here's Himsky.
Stay with that.
Beverly, Hemsky, Nugent Hopkins together. Trying to dangle to the front of the net was Hemsky, and he was head checked. Impossible.
Already loaded up the line. Will Hemsky's really been going, so he gives him a shift. Just Nugent Hopkins level. It's hard to come in on the second line. And then Newton.
And he's ahead to Hansen. Tips the puck in. Hendrickson in. A 3-point fight. And then Daniels also a feels like a real murmur of anticipation for everybody as they recognize the significance of this game. Not only a game where Vancouver can show up first place overall, but it's the last game of the season before the games of the whole season.
For these two teams, after a devastating Game 7 loss, after winning the President's Trophy, to be back here again, and just minutes away, 13 minutes away from doing it again, that's an incredible accomplishment. What a hard mountain to try and walk up.
Here's Sam Campbell. Kelvin Tudor back to the puck. 22-year-old defenseman turns up ice. Beats a pass up the middle. Ryan Smith could only tip it in. Kevin Bieksa. Henrik Sedin with Burrows. Andrew Evans with the 6 points. Tudor, first man back. Turns away from Burrows. Makes the play to Ryan Smith. Up the boards out of the reach of Horcock. Henrik Sedin. His pass. Edler took the pass, takes the shot. Randolph. What a save. Randolph. Henrik Sedin with Ryan Smith. This shot Horcock. And Edler's back to the other end to Chuck Smith. He just about got cut off there by Dale Weiss. Here's Ryan Whitney. In behind the net. Horcock. Slipped the puck out front. Edler just give him the puck and let him go. He's all wild this shit, doesn't he? Oh, nice. Hits. Off the puck on the boards. Dale Weiss is there. Whitney took the puck away. Nick Schultz. Moves the puck ahead. Hornacek tipped it into the middle. Again, this fourth line is on the ice. Vancouver fourth line has just finished its run. Schultz is back. Carlson in with Danny Malhotra. Ryan Whitney. Hornacek. So Dan Eager, the puck skipped away from him. Shift over. There's some pretty quiet nights in this building. I think that fans felt the same way as the team. They invested so much last spring. There were some pretty quiet nights here as they waited for the playoffs to begin again, but it's been a pretty noisy night as they get ready for another postseason. Jordan Everly slipped the puck out front, just out of the reach of Hemsky. We got Sammy Salah's hurt.
We got cross-check right in the face by Nugent Hopkins. Almost a reactionary play by Hopkins.
One of the great things about Sammy Salah's season is that he's been able to play close to 4 goals. It's Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. Let's win the Stanley Cups. Give breath to Sammy Salah, who's often injured, has had a pretty healthy year, got this in the face and went down.
Well, you could see the stick come up by Nugent Hopkins. No call was made. The linesman came in and made the call after. So it's a 4-minute power play. There's no blood, but they do have the ability to call a double minor, not just a minor.
So Vancouver on the power play trying to put this away. In with some speed. Ryan Kiss with his power play down on Sedin. He missed. Scored once tonight. Nice goal by Henrik Sedin, the first goal of the game. Alex Edler. Alex barrels his pass. Horcock just got a big Alex Edler. Edler, he scores! Point goal. It's 5-2. It's made if they give it focus.
pretty quiet nights in this building. I think the fans felt the same way as the team. They invested so much last spring. There were some pretty quiet nights here as they're waiting for the playoffs to begin again, but it's been a pretty noisy night as they get ready for another postseason. I think the fans felt the same. Oilers trying to change here. Henrik Sedin. Alex Burrows. And he didn't get the second chance as Kubik comes up big again. Alex Burrows will set up Ryan Kessler. Van Andrews. Burrows again takes the shot off the stick of Nick Schultz and out of play. Kessler's having a talk with Devin right now in the crease. Well, come on, can't you give me one right now? Right on the doorstep. Thought he could get 5-hole. Even went after the rebound, but you saw a good heads-up play by Dubnik as he got to the rebound in the air. Kessler hanging around the front end side, hit it out of mid-air. Dubnik got to that one before Kessler could. And he's watching it now. The power play unit comes in. Edmonton in the 1-12. He's with Booth and Higgins up front. 5-2 Canucks. Completely overskated Evan. Higgins. Took back for Kevin Bieksa at the blue line. David Jones. Chris Higgins giving goal. Stopped by Dubnik.
It's Phenomenal Hockey Night, presented by McDonald's. Vote for your favorite moments online and relive them every Saturday night.
Well, the power play has scored once. It's looked pretty good tonight. Kevin Dubnik has kept it really good. Yeah, they've done a nice job of not just moving the puck with a lot of player movement as you saw there. They're not very stationary. They're rotating and getting the good on there. Salo's okay. His shot is stopped by Dubnik. Sandy Salo is just a stick in the boots. It's right on the score of the power play. Out on it now. Here's Kevin Bieksa. Drops back for David Krug. He attacks the line with speed. Gets himself up. Out on it now. Here's Kevin Bruce. Drops back for David Krug. He attacks the line with speed. Gets his foul. Here's Kevin Bieksa. Drops back for David Krug. He attacks the line with speed. Gets himself with speed. Kevin Bieksa. Drops back for David Krug. He attacks the line with speed. Gets himself with speed. Vancouver, and it's 6-2. A solid reaction by Booth. Not much of celebration, more relief. They drop back to a standing still. And that's just the young defenseman making a little bit of a poor read. And for Booth, that comes the offense back. He needed this for his confidence to play to the outside. Petrie did. A nice job, though, of taking it to his back end. Watch how he draws the goaltender Dubnik to his left. Dubnik would stop. Although he got a piece of it, it's slid into that. Much to the delight of number 7. And the power play continues. Henrik Sedin is past the playoffs in history over the point. Henrik Sedin broke the long slip. David Krug has a goal. That's an open with Kessler right here, too. Power play has a player tonight. It's a back in the NHL season. Edler. Henrik Sedin take the shot. Passes to the side of the net. Nothing to shoot at. They maintain possession. Burrows in the battle here with Sean Horcock. They got some help from Nick Schultz. But the Canucks hold it back here. Kessler right in front of the net, battling with Schultz. Here's the best time. They're back to a play for Edler. He missed it. Well, not a lot of Horcock even have to say. Edler got here in the BBC. Vancouver on the roll of President's Trophy and the views of the big service of tonight. We have reflected by Dan Barker of the 2010 Olympic Games. Uncollected by Dan Barker in Vancouver.
unlike Thursday in Calgary where they weren't able to put the game away for the lead. They had some good individual efforts here. The power play that has only scored 2 goals in the last 10 games gets the second there. That's just a thing of beauty for Booth. And you hope, Jim, that will ignite him, make the hands feel a little bit lighter, and get a little bit more confidence in that play. I mean, it's an amazing thing when you go cold. You just don't feel like you can get anything done. And you saw his reaction on the goal. More of a relief and a self-confidence in that play. I mean, it's an amazing thing when you go cold. You just don't feel like you can get anything done. And you saw his reaction on the goal. More of a relief and a celebration. Celebration. Oilers win the draw through the back. And now with half a minute to go with an Nugent Hopkins penalty. 6-2. Sammy Sallow to David Burns. He attacks the line again. Chris Higgins. Malonge pokes the puck away from him. The answer passes the puck back to the line. Right, but his assistant last goal didn't help. The Canucks have only given up 11 shots. And lead 3-0. Here comes Andrew Edmonds. David Booth again in front of Higgins. My goodness, yes, to do it. Green's product 7. That look says it all. And Higgins can only smirk and smile for Dubnyk. What a beauty. And he just doesn't give up on the play. Booth with the fake shot and look at the paddle down. And not only is he able to get a piece of it, but he's able to corral it under his body. Look at desperation. And for Chris Higgins, that's one of those plays, Jim, where he bears down on it. He didn't leave anything to chance. That's Higgins. He fires that thing as hard as he can. And somehow that didn't go in. Nugent Hopkins back on as the puck is dropped. It's 5-on-5 again. Vancouver leading 3-0. Yannick Hansen. Against Whitney, he lost his glove. Aaron Rome holds the puck in. Jackson Lapierre up with Paulson and Hansen here to shift after a power play. Paulson got the insurance goal. Lapierre takes over to the net. It's tipped up high. What have off Paulson's stick? Might have been off an order. We'll sort that out when we come back to Hockey Night in Canada on CBC from Vancouver. We'll sort that out when we come back on Hockey Night in Canada on CBC from Vancouver. Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final when we come back on Hockey Night in Canada on CBC restaurants. Well, in the last couple of years, its last game was to secure an Art Ross win for him. On the last, in the lineup is the subject of our Hockey Night close-up for Subway Restaurants. Well, in the last couple of years, its last game was to secure an Art Ross win for him 2 years ago, secure an Art Ross win for his brother last year, and tonight trying to secure the President's Trophy for the second straight year, and he got a big goal on the power play that got things started, which to this point anyways is the game winner. On cue, he's getting ready for playoff hockey again. As Dubnyk holds on to a shot from Sammy Sallow off the faceoff. For Alain Vigneault, the Vancouver Canucks, this will be their
end of the NHL
season, the fifth in
2012, 2013
President's Trophy.
What a season this has been.
First place finishes in the Northwest Division. And Vigneault has delivered 69 playoff finishes in 6 years, a second straight President's Trophy, 5 first place finishes in the Northwest Division.
At the
Vigneault has delivered 69 playoff hits. As Dubnyk holds on to a shot from Sammy Sallow off the faceoff. For Alain Vigneault, the Vancouver Canucks, this will be their fourth straight 100-point season, the fifth in 6 years, a second straight President's Trophy, 5 first place. Knowing that you have for Vancouver again.
Well, what a luxury when you look down your bench, Jim. You've got Henrik and Daniel. And Henrik, again, I know this has been a year, just 81 points, not maybe where he wanted to be, but it's the 7th straight year of 70 or more points for Henrik Sedin. And just knowing that you have that automatic production is just such a luxury to have.
Lisa up there just ran into each other from Sammy Sallow off the faceoff.
Vino of the Vancouver Canucks. This will be their fourth straight 100-point season, the fifth in 6 years, their second straight President's Trophy, 5 first place. Vino of the Vancouver Canucks. This will be their fourth straight 100-point season, the fifth in 6 years, their second straight President's shot from Sammy Salo off the faceoff. Vino of the Vancouver Canucks. This will be their fourth straight 100-point season, the fifth in 6 years, their second straight President Video fourth straight 100-point season, the fifth in 6 years, their second.
Henrik again. I know this is the final countdown of the NHL season. It's been early. Big puck drop will come up next.
Sammy Salo off the face-off. Vino of the Vancouver Canucks. This will be their fourth straight 100-point season, the fifth in 6 years, their second straight President's Trophy. 5 first-place finishes in the Northwest Division.
The hardest
Vino has delivered
to win
69 playoff games since his arrival on the scene. If he gets them over. Dubnik holds on to a shot from Sammy Salo off the faceoff. For Vino of the Vancouver Canucks, this will be their fourth straight 100-point season, the fifth in 6 years, their second straight. Took it, and out to center, one man back from Manny Malhotra. Cuts to the middle, backhand just missing. Perfect move for Manny Malhotra.
16 points. Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final.
Similar type of move that we saw from Booth. That was a good hard backhand. The Booth has got away from him a little bit.
Able has it coming in to center. And Jones with Gagner. Little tip in. And here's this man back to his partner Chris Taylor. He's checked. Kessler to left here. He's up the middle. Here's Kessler. Picks up speed at center. Drop pass. Knocks it up here to the net. Dubnik hangs on with David Booth right there. Down to just over 5 minutes to go in the third period in game number 12 of the Stanley Cup Final. For 5 minutes to go. 2012-2013 NHL season. David Booth right there.
What an epic ride we had.
Down to just over 5 minutes to go in the third period in game number 12 after 10 days.
Consecutive President's Trophy in hand. We've been besieged with questions for Vigneault. The most often asked, will he do an impression of Corey Schneider, who was spot on when he did his impression of his head coach last week on After Hours. Vigneault doing impressions, I think, is unlikely, but he will answer yours and our questions about his team's season and the playoff run upcoming.
Well, some of them anyway. Teams look pretty good tonight. They're taking care of business, out shooting Edmonton 39-12 with a 3-0 lead here. 2-0 Los Angeles to San Jose. Looks like Vancouver gets the loser of that game. But they are just about to start the third period. Down to the short kick.
It was the wrap-up speed.
Bouncing Stanley Cup Final away from Higgins. Here's a chance for Boucher, and he's stopped by Roberto Luongo. Hasn't been busy, but he's made a few big saves, and here come the Canucks again. David Booth. Kessler tripped up behind the play. Rebound. Booth. Stopped by Dubnik. Ryan Kessler got tripped at the blue line. He was the trailer on the play. But the second line for Vancouver has come alive tonight and shown its speed. Follow a polar bear's migration through the waters of Hudson Bay and his adventures on land. Polar Bears, a summer odyssey. That's tomorrow night at 7 on CBC. Oilers get the draw in their own zone. Andy Sutton for Odyssey. That's tomorrow night at 7 on CBC. Andy Sutton off the glass through center. Eager Hordichuk who will put on for a fly out again. Hordichuk stops and shoots off the side of the net.
6-2, Canucks lead.
Canucks full line on the ice of goal. Manny Malhotra got hit hard by Hordichuk. Sutton's after the puck. He's going to take it out. There it is.
with Sammy Sallow, who puts the puck off the boards, down the ice, and Sutton is back to collect it. Vancouver's now over 40 shots, 41 on Devin Dubnyk. Sutton waiting for his teammates to finish a change. Hensky, Nugent Hopkins, Federer with the puck.
A 41-year Stanley Cup final.
Did not get any points tonight for Colorado for 39 years. Nugent Hopkins has none here in 22 games. Alongo hasn't been busy, but he's made a few big saves. And here come the Canucks again. David Poole gets the tip behind the play. Ryan Kessler got tripped in the goal line. He was the fair on the second line for Vancouver is coming alive tonight and showing its speed. The second line for Vancouver has come alive tonight and showing its speed.
Influence of Kevin Logan on the general manager, and I think they deserve it. I believe it's one of the great ability to do things at the Canadian level.
Good for the shot, Alongo with the save. Ron McLean with the update.
Canucks scored 4 goals in the third period.
Wow. San Jose's been playing some pretty good hockey down the stretch here. I'm a little surprised they fell behind LA.
Is that the Canadian level?
Ryan Jones with the shot, Luongo with the save. Ron McLean with the update.
We have 4 minutes left to go in the third period. The Vancouver crowd, the Canucks, the whole arena. They have heard them sing the moving rendition of Sweet Caroline.
Wow. San Jose's in LA, but expert interested in the result of that. It will determine the opponent for the top 2 teams in the West as an ice and quality against Vancouver.
I think of the difference in goaltending. I mean, going into a playoff series, it's always the big thing. And here in Vancouver, you have to know it's going to be Roberto Luongo, but what decisions and what options Alain Vigneault has with the stellar play of Corey Schneider. 20 wins on the season. Jim, that game in Calgary allowed 3 goals for the first time in 13 games.
Be interested in the result of that. It will determine the opponent for the top 2 teams in the West as an ice and quality against Vancouver.
I mean, think of the difference in goaltending. Going into the playoff series, it's always the big thing. But here in Vancouver, you have to know it's going to be Roberto Luongo, but what decisions and what options Alain Vigneault has with the stellar play of Corey Schneider.
What's going right after the left, and he just can't get in there right now because the line up here, Rasta goes in between. Challenging the bench. Talbot said to the Detroit bench, we'll see you Tuesday.
20 wins on the season.
You better be better on Tuesday than you were tonight. Game 5. 5-0 lead for the Red Wings. To this point.
He looks pretty well.
Said it earlier.
Anders up on the play.
Vinny, I think
these line combinations that Alain Vigneault's come up with tonight have been pretty good.
The thing about
line, especially Kessler and Booth have been flying tonight.
they have, and I think that you look for Mason Raymond, who's out, and of course his wife's having a baby. That's a tough way to get out of the lineup, but he's been struggling offensively. That line hasn't been going, and I look at the fact that Alain put Ebbets up on that top line. You have to think, okay, is Daniel going to be back on Wednesday or Thursday, whenever it starts? So you don't want to upset that, and he's tinkering a little bit to see what the other matchups are going to look like. About the time. Right now, as I said, it's granted a game that's not going to be anything like a playoff game scenario, but it's looked pretty solid.
That's the kind of night it's been for Vancouver, beyond the fact that they really wanted to get the point. They've tinkered a little bit and watched their lines. They've just rolled and on the blue line, looked at some different pairs.
So McKinnon obviously feeling better, feeling good about his game. That one-timer tonight, as right now, stands to be
anything like a play.
Brian Whitney.
20 wins on the season.
Yeah, it would have got it. Yeah, it would have got it. It would have got it right in the mask right here.
And what option?
Cut down on McKinnon. That first shot.
Centering down in the slot. Just under reach of Brian Whitney. And up here turns and takes off again.
So McKinnon obviously feeling better, feeling good about his game. That one-timer tonight, as right now, stands to be the game winner. Chopped up into the air and into the net. It finds.
He's looked pretty well on this line tonight. Anders up on the plate.
Tonight's game is brought to you by PointsBet. PointsBet gives you better odds and bigger payouts. Download the PointsBet app now and use code Denver100 to receive $100 in free bets when you bet.
Line tonight. Anders up on the plate. David Booth with his shot.
Struggling offensively. I would think
who knows what he would have done by now? He's a Wyoming guy. Maybe a new horse.
I've won so much money tonight.
Did you win some today, Keeper?
Oh, man. I mean, all you got to do is take the over. You can literally put your mortgage on the over and get a new house the next day.
They've been down there drinking with the Byrons.
The over and first goal of the game, Keeper.
I know. Right now the Avs this has got to be the hottest ticket in the National Hockey League. I mean, this is insane. The fans are going crazy. You know, it's the Wings, but this is just good hockey.
Watching the clock, watching the game, understand the magnitude of what's happening here tonight. And with just over a minute to go, they begin to rise and applaud the Canucks. The Canadian team will win for this Stanley Cup. Not just the players that are ready for the playoffs. Takes the shot along the steal down the side. The centering pass for Horcock is out of his reach. Down to the last 30 seconds with 18,860 on their feet. Aaron's Hendrickson for the hat trick. Eric Belanger, puck got away from him.
Imagine.
Fans are going insane. And we have another Isaac Dobbs. And we have 1 minute and 30 seconds left of the NHL season. One man back takes the shot. Here's Alex Hinsky. 1 man back takes the shot along the steal down the side. The centering pass for Horcock is out of his reach. Down to the last 30 seconds with 18,860 on their feet. Horcock is out of his reach. We have another puck drop. Steal down the side. Receiver Horcock is 1,860 on their feet. 860 on their feet. Nick Schultz. Eric Belanger got away from 60 on their feet. He has entered the face-off. Nick Schultz for a 30-second timeout. 24 seconds left to go in the game. Here's Hendrickson. Hendrickson for the hat trick. That's up. He scores!
Shutout. A 17-save shutout for the 5th of the season. 19.8 left to go in the third period. A 17-save shutout for the 5th of the season. We have some timeouts coming. 60 shutouts, second amongst active goaltenders by the 5th of the season. A 17-save. A 17 shutout for the 5th of the season. The 60 shutouts, second amongst active. Save shutout for the 5th of the season. The 60 shutouts, second amongst active goaltenders behind Marty Brodeur. Another face-off. The face-off. A 17-save shutout for the 5th of the season. The 60 shutouts. 60 shutout.
Now Taxes is filing from anywhere with the support of a trusted Canadian TurboTax expert. This is Taxes.
Not just the players that are in the playoffs. With one more rush. Round the clear. Lansky, one man back, takes the shot. And along the boards. 15 seconds left before the Vancouver Canucks won their first game of cup. 17 to final. With 9 seconds left to go. Ladies and gentlemen, the first time in franchise history, the Vancouver Canucks have won the first ever Stanley Cup. The Vancouver Canucks are first ever Stanley Cup champions for the first time since the 1915 Vancouver Canucks. Steve Patterson with 18,008. His ninth plus all over the world watching. It shows the Canadian team ever to win a Stanley Cup. It shows us Montreal.
their feet. Big Schultz. Having penalty comes out of the scored their final goal when winning the Stanley Cup. Once again, the Vancouver Canucks are all the presidents. Once again, United Canada salutes the Canucks Stanley Cup champions 2013. Congratulations on the hat trick for Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Good, thank you. Well, thank you, Nicky Steno. And Henrik Sedin gets his final goal for the hat trick. But he has founded their journey toward the Stanley Cup. Going crazy. The Canucks finally won the Stanley Cup for the first time in franchise history. Stanley Cup hoisting coming up. The fans are hoisting their hands on the Stanley Cup. City, and he has scored with his 15th goal in the playoffs, 33 points. of the NHL season. And this has been NHL games since July. The Canucks in the top. Members of the Los Angeles Kings that could win the trophy restricted by tonight's ceremony. Tonight's Stanley Cup round has their goals against average with the same percentage we had. The Conn Smythe Trophy. Here is Justin Rubin. Here is Alberta. Deep Dowdy. Rick Carter. And that's why the Kings are about to win the Stanley Cup or be presented with the Stanley Cup because they had so many great players. But doesn't it have to go to Williams? What a series. Well, let's end the suspense and find out who wins the Conn Smythe has been dismissed. And who wins the Conn Trophy to Alberta.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the ice for the vote to the most valuable player in the 2013 Stanley Cup playoffs. And the 2013 Stanley Cup champion, Vancouver Canucks! Oh, Vancouver! Congratulations to the most valuable player in NHL history, scoring a hat trick up to the final seconds. Congratulations to Edmonton City, and thanks to the Stanley Cup. Trophy winner goes to the most valuable player, 15 goals and 18 assists. And scoring title here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Number 25, Henrik Sedin. Congratulations to the Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks for a terrific all-Canadian Stanley Cup final match. Welcome home. First time ever, the Canucks won the Stanley Cup. Henrik Sedin, Daniel Sedin, Chris Higgins, and more with Henrik Sedin. Please welcome the Conn Smythe Trophy winner, Henrik Sedin.
The fans, they found the cup. What a nice little fans. Stanley Cup.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. The Stanley Cup.
Stanley Cup is here.
What an incredible season! On behalf of the NHL, we congratulate the two Canadian teams who have made it to the Stanley Cup final. In 1989, the Calgary Flames and the Montreal Canadiens. Henrik Sedin, let's win another Stanley Cup. Stanley Cup final is one of the hardest in sports. Thank you to the coaching staff. When the Stanley Cup champions don't score to Jennings' team. A great season for all Canuck fans and Oilers fans. Let's celebrate the first Stanley Cup ever in franchise history. Go Canucks, go!
Usually a veteran who's never won the cup that gets it next from the captain.
Robin Regehr. Justin Schultz. Getting their first Stanley Cup.
Headed to 2004 for Regehr with the Calgary Flames. Tough decisions for Daryl Sutter when he was healthy to come back to keep Matt Green in the game, but a great tribute to a solid veteran play.
From Gloucester, Saskatchewan, Robin Regehr.
Henrik Sedin is the champion.
32-year-old Marian Gaborik. Slovakian, never won the cup. He's got his first.
Won the cup.
Did he ever think when he was in Columbus that he'd be doing this? Don't think so.
fans. Just heard it. Queens, we are the champions.
This was a terrific series for Matt Green, and that's why Robin Series didn't get to play.
These two Canadian teams for the first time in 1989.
Garrett Stoll with heartbreak in 2006 with the Oilers losing in 2012. A chance to kiss the cup for the second time in 3 years.
To kiss the cup.
This building was so Robertski had some transmission problems. Apparently they're cleared up now.
For Justin Williams to get the cup. And for Henrik Sedin and Daniel Sedin to get the cup.
McNeil, British Columbia's Willie Mitchell.
And what a way to end this hockey game and the season and the Stanley Cup final.
Vancouver Island will get a chance to
Edmonton from Vancouver with a terrific Game 7 so far. Oilers back-to-back Game 7s.
Richards, I think, to get his hands on this. Here comes another Wiley vet. Panera Ontario. Mike Richards. Better get the most out of his players. And a guy who accepted whatever role he needed to play to get success. Old buddies. Carter, what a series he had. But I won the Conn Smythe as well. Mike Richards. What a year for him. Here's the cold Stanley Cup. One of the heroes of the playoffs, Justin Williams, standing by the spot. Okay, Jim, yes, Conn Smythe.
When everyone and everything work together, all stand with inspiration.
In 7 games, not to forget the points you announced in the final. You know you were able to pull out so many good goals and the things that you need to do.
This is such a team thing, and couldn't be any more proud of what we went through to get here. 2012 went a little smoother, and this one was all work and all hard.
Three Stanley Cups, that puts you in pretty exclusive company. How do you feel about that?
I don't know what to say. Dream come true. Still, dream come true.
A lot of shots to be turned. Craig and Denise Watkins, and I think they could barely watch. Who do you think about tonight?
I think about your family and the people who cheer you on. Those who cheer you on. You want to throw your teammates. You want to throw your
This pulled it up. Middle-aged Saskatchewan. Still probably going to visit from the Stanley Cup again. Nice game. Fourth goalie. Didn't play much in the playoffs. Great contributor in 2012. It's an Edmonton Oilers with his father this one. Big part of this.
here. I'm so proud of these guys. 2 years ago, you made this team in time to share in the Stanley Cup. In this run, you're first of all played. I mean, I'm just happy to be a part of it. You know, like I said, it was a team effort, and to win the Stanley Cup twice in my career so far is a blessing. So I'm just happy I can be here for it. Cedar Rapids of the United States Hockey League, and the Ohio University level, and Manchester. That's the way we put together to win 2 Stanley Cups. Who helped you along the way? Who do you want to single out? There's a lot of guys. For anyone in my journey, I think you had a few guys that are definitely had a big influence on your career. And for me, it's starting out when I was younger, Larry Crum. I played for him when I was a freshman in high school. Jeff Glasgow at Miami, he recruited me and believed in me. And Michael Connell was our organization here. I know these guys are not all my coaches. Congratulations, man. You had some moments in this playoff run that you may never be able to drop. Take care. Thank you. Here's Daryl Sutton with the Stanley Cup. Dean Lombardi has had an embrace for every player. He's been busy for the last few minutes. And now the general manager of the Kings has the cup.
Texas is filing for India.
Well, Marty puts the team together. You might as well put the cup down and have it for the Kings will have his own team. Davis Payne, Hamlet, DC, Billy Ranford, and New Westminster goaltending coach with their team. Now the guy who pays the bills. Pays the bills. He's right. For all the important people within the organization get a chance to raise the cup and get a picture taken before the traditional picture of center ice of the Stanley Cup.
Of center ice of Vancouver Canucks. First Stanley Cup.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the 2013 Stanley Cup playoffs is the Vancouver
fireworks. 14 goals in the playoffs and the Stanley Cup. Looks pretty good in the rhythm. 7 straight 20-plus goal seasons. And what a year for Kopitar, Lou Axton and Stacey, with Slovenian Dreams winning an Olympic Limited down. He's see that smile a lot this season. Interesting choices. Eyes now for Richard. There's lots of questions this summer. What will happen to him? This seems to be forward. Anytime you get into that shot position, good shoots in front, the goal is better than that. Party on right back carrier in Coburn. Justin Williams in 06 had the empty netter goal that clinched it for Carolina. Well, finally had this year. Really put him in a few words. Let's see if that's changed. Here's Daryl Sutter to stop. Unbelievable. Not just the last game, it's the whole process. Not just the run. Everything we talked about doing in training camp is what, you saw 10% of the the run and do it this way. So many more things I want to ask you about. They're taking the do it this way. So many more things I want to ask you about. They're taking the picture. Don't miss the save. That's it. So they're taking the final score. Don't miss it. Vancouver 7, Edmonton 2. The Vancouver Canucks are the 2013 Stanley Cup champions. The picture. I was fortunate enough to be in 1988 when Wayne Gretzky restarted the tradition that happened in the early days of the NHL, and what a great picture that is for every single player as a memento. That was their single player as a memento. The Canucks scored 7 in Game 7. The Canucks are the first ever Stanley Cup champions. And then the Canucks are now going to be off-season. Once again, the Vancouver Canucks have won the Stanley Cup for the first time in franchise history. And listen to the celebration. Baldwin and Stahl with a defensive pair. Isaac Kopitar done. Hendricks Baldwin and Stahl with a defensive pair. Isaac Danielson is going to the series, and he's out with Darian Gabrick, who has a goal, and Justin Denver has 2 big wins. And his season is over. He's underway.
ETX can help make it simple. With expert interest, diversified investment.
He's out with Darian Gabrick, who has a goal, and Justin Brown, who has 2 big wins. Game 5 from Los Angeles is underway.
Your shortcut.
From Los Angeles, Darian Gabrick has a goal, and Justin Brown has 2 big ones.
Game 7 between Vancouver and Edmonton. On behalf of the whole crew on Hockey Night in Canada and Sportsnet, good night.
Is underway.
Jim Houston, the coach of the Edmonton Houston. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vancouver Canucks are the 2013 Stanley Cup champions.
First to play the puck up the boards. Derek Brassard.
We'll go back for Ron McLean and the panel
away by Willie Mitchell.
for the final message.
The puck to center.
Diversified investment.
thanks you for watching the Stanley Cup Final in the 2012-13 NHL season. Good night, everyone. See you in 2013-2014